I wanted to do our little hog watch. I don't know if you guys saw this amazing collab, but two of the great Matts came together.
You should not start making Miss Rachel your target, because if you make people in America choose between abandoning Miss Rachel and supporting Hamas, everyone is going to choose Hamas.
Hello, and
I love Matt Leaf. I love him so much, dude. He's so great, dude. Oh God. Okay, let's watch. I wanted to watch their first segment because I saw this hog on my own, and I wanted to share with you guys, and I wanted to see what their commentary was on it while we watch it.
To A Bit Fruity. I'm Matt Bernstein. This is a big one. This has been a long time coming. Strap in. This is one that we have wanted to make, that we have needed to make, and we are making it. There has been a lot of crazy shit happening in this country in the name of Jewish safety. The Trump administration has terminated nearly $3 billion in federal research grants for Harvard and is trying to prevent the school from enrolling any international students, in large part because of the school's, quote, failure to address anti-Semitism on campus. Trump has waged a similar war against other universities like Columbia, which, unlike Harvard, completely capitulated to Trump and oversaw Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, enter its campus and kidnap students who had participated in Free Palestine protests. A group called Stop Antisemitism is calling on the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate children's YouTuber Miss Rachel, who they accuse of being funded by Hamas because she makes videos with Palestinian child amputees. More on that later. The same Stop Antisemitism group lobbied Delta Airlines to fire a flight attendant who wore a Palestinian flag pin, which Delta agreed to investigate. People are being deported and having their green cards revoked over accusations of anti-Semitism by an administration that somehow also employs a guy who did a Hitler salute and another who thinks COVID was a bioweapon designed to spare Jews. Democratic principles like free speech and the right to a fair trial are being trampled, apparently because all of the people in charge are just really concerned with Jewish safety. And as a Jew, I'm confused. Every time I see these posts that are like, check on your Jewish friends, they're not okay right now, I'm like, genuinely, what are you talking about? I mean, I'm not okay. To be clear, I'm not okay, but that is between my psychiatrist and I, and it is unrelated to a flight attendant with a Palestinian flag pin, I promise. When these people in the Trump administration and on CNN and the conservative networks and the liberal networks talk about rampant anti-Semitism on campus, I honestly don't really know what they're referring to. And I'm very fucking uncomfortable with what's being done in this country, supposedly in the name of my safety. I think bad faith interpretations of anti-Semitism are actually about an agenda that has nothing to do with Jewish safety at all. And I think our identities are being weaponized to achieve something much darker that a lot of people seem to be missing. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. And I know it's heavy. A lot of things we talk about on this podcast are heavy, but we're going to find ways to bring levity. We're going to make this entertaining. I promise. If it's the last thing I do, we will talk about influencers. To help me do this podcast today, I have enlisted two of my very favorite Jews. Most of the podcast will be done alongside my fellow Jewish podcast, Matt Lieb, who is a comedian and the host of the Bad Hasbara podcast. And a little later on, we will hear from another friend of mine who asked that they remain anonymous, which I totally understand. This kind of stuff can be really hard to litigate, especially publicly, when there is so much harassment for anyone, especially any Jewish person who chooses to speak out about it. They have such unbelievable wisdom and knowledge about the subject at hand. So we're going to hear from them a little later in the show. Matt and welcome to the show. With regard to this topic, how are you guys feeling right now?
I love this topic. It is all it is all I've been talking about for the last 18 months. It's something I used to only talk about in much smaller, more niche circles, and it's nice to have more and more people interested in this. So I'm feeling good about it.
I would say that been doing work against anti-Semitism for a long time, and starting around 2015, 2016, started to recognize the ways in which the distortion of anti-Semitism, and Jewish fear was being weaponized, and it has been increasing. And at this moment, it's on such hyperdrive that it's gone from this very niche topic to the front page of any publication. But yeah, like you were saying, Matt, it's also that it's so rampant that it's being exposed, and that is actually really helpful for people being able to counter it.
So the way that we're going to break.
Oh, Dami Lama, thank you, by the way, for this. Thank you. I was having the Light Life ones, but I didn't know that those were the only ones that were technically explicitly listed. Thank you.
God damn, they're
Pick
so
up
pretty.
this episode is we are going to hear chiefly from Matt and Matt, the two Matts, in the first half as we go through some of the shadowy internet figures who have been really pushing this
My wife
distortion
and
of
I both went to
anti-Semitism.
Texas. We are obliged to say there is a healthy leftist population there, and it is not all brainwashing.
For incredibly fascist means. And then in the second half, we are going to have explain to us kind of what's going on beneath the surface here as it pertains to the Trump administration and how they are weaponizing Jewish fear. Matt, I want to start with a video
Ooh,
that
fun.
we are going to watch together.
Dude, this woman
And
is like...
this video is from a one Lizzie Savetsky. And if you don't know who Lizzie Savetsky is, you will in a minute. But first, let's just watch the video.
I want to check in with everyone.
Have you guys seen this? Ones of you have seen this, twos if you have not seen this.
It has been a really rough couple of days because the tragic murder of Sarah and Yaron brings up so much trauma that we have been holding for the past 19 months, sure, but I don't know, thousands of years. Anti-Semitism has existed since the Jewish people existed. We know this. To feel unsafe in our own country is a new feeling for our generation of Jews. The concept of Jews who have never even thought about an assault weapon, buying guns, because we can't rely on anyone else to protect our community. You know how many members of my synagogue, how many Jewish people that I know who you would never think have a gun, because we need to protect our own community? You know something? Fear is not an emotion that I have very often. I'm always way more angry and passionate than I am afraid. But today I was scared for the first time.
I'm usually normally so passionate about killing those unarmed children and killing all the people in Gaza, to protect Israel.
I can't even tell you how long. I was in a taxi and the driver was listening to this loud and angry sermon and they kept yelling, Allahu Akbar! And I was scared. I normally don't care. I am loud and proud. Come and get me. But I was scared today. We should not have to feel afraid to walk down the street because of our identity, because we were born as Jews. That's the reality that every single Jew I know is feeling right.
I was shaking in my boots at this angry sermon where the guy kept screaming, Allahu Akbar! And I was like, I need a gun for situations like this.
Now in this country, how long? I was in a taxi and the driver was listening to this loud and angry sermon and they kept yelling, Allahu Akbar! And I was scared. I normally don't care. I am loud and proud. Come and get me. But I was scared today. We should not have to feel afraid to walk down the street because of our identity, because we were born as Jews. That's the reality that every single Jew I know is feeling right now in this country.
Okay. All right.
What a
She also has other iconic tweets or videos on her Twitter. Here's this car with, instead of the plate, it's got a little Palestinian flag in the front.
I'm Yisrael Chai! 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 I'm Yisrael Chai!
No, she's not saying I'm Israel High. I think she's saying like, I looked it up because I was also like, I saw this video on my timeline. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? But she's saying, I'm forgetting. You guys someone else can fucking Google it for me. People of Israel live. That's what it was. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Can you imagine seeing a Palestinian flag and then on a car in New York? I think it's New York. I don't know. Maybe it's somewhere else. And then doing that, like acting that way. Like this is a crazy thing to do.
harrowing story.
She felt fear for the first time in her life and decided to buy a gun because she had a Muslim Uber driver who was listening to a sermon.
Yeah, she was in a cab and she heard someone say Allahu Akbar. And for the first time in her entire adult life, she felt fear.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know what to do with somebody like that. It is not justified for you to feel.
Also, yeah, she says she's fearful, but is harassing random people on the street. That doesn't seem like she's really afraid. I mean, I'm not going to go, well, yeah, actually, I will go that far. If you're at the point where you're like, there's a car, it's not, no one in the car is even doing anything to you. Like, literally nothing is happening. It's just a car driving that has a Palestinian flag on it. And then you start being the aggressor, and we're supposed to believe that you're the person that's living in fear and you're not the one that's trying to terrorize the people around you. Like,
fear of someone who is
Hamas
listening
car.
to a sermon in a cab. Like, it's a strange thing to be like, well, certainly the world should cater to my own personal fear, you know?
100%. And we're going to get into a lot of people who are doing this wild distortion of anti-Semitism. And a lot of them, and a lot of the most powerful ones doing it, aren't Jewish. But there are some people like this who will do this refrain of like, every Jewish person I know is terrified. And I'm like, who do you know? And look, I'm not trying to be like a pick-me. And I want to say right up front, I'm not saying that like anti-Semitism like doesn't exist. I talk about anti-Semitism all the time.
Right.
But this is just, I mean, this is great. And it's so racist.
Yes, because she did not experience anti-Semitism in that cab. What she experienced was her own Islamophobia. And she's saying it out loud as if it's anti-Semitism. And she's also, you know, she's speaking about the fear of 2 Israeli diplomats being killed in D.C., which is...
I mean, I assume most of you already know this, but in case there is even one person that doesn't know this, Allahu Akbar just means God is great. That's it. That is all it means. That would be the equivalent of walking into a cab and there's your Uber driver is Christian and they're listening to... what are they? I don't think the priests are the one that give the sermons, but maybe I'm not familiar with the who in the church is the sermon giver. Pastor, maybe. Oh, I guess the preacher, obviously. And it's saying like, praise Jesus, praise the Lord. And then you being like, dude, I wish I had a gun right now. Like, that's how crazy that is. It's on that level of insane. Because again, Allahu Akbar just means God is great. And this is like, maybe more people don't know this. So I will clarify in case there are people that don't know this. When Muslim people say Allahu Akbar, they don't, it is important to know that within the Muslim faith, Muslims believe that there is one God and that Christians also pray to that same God. Like, Allah is just the same God that everybody else also prays to. It's the same monotheistic God. I mean, it's based off the same lore, okay? The Bible and the Torah and the Quran, the same people show up in these books, okay? Jesus is there. Moses is there. Mary is there. Okay, they're Abrahamic religions. They have the same MCU. Yeah. So when Muslim people talk about Allah, they are not saying Allah is like some separate God. They're not saying, oh, well, there's the Christian God and then there's Allah. Allah just translates into God. And so Muslim people, when talking about Christian faith, there are primary issues that that Christians and Catholics also believe Jesus to be a godly figure. Like Christians believe in like the Holy Trinity, and Muslim people disagree with it. They say, no, Jesus was another prophet, just the same way that Muhammad is a prophet. He's not a prophet and God. Like, Jesus is not a godly figure. He's a man like the rest of us, and God can work through him the way that he worked through Muhammad. But it's idolatry to praise Jesus the same way that you praise God. That's it. But the God in Christianity is the same God in Islam. It's the same God. And Muslim people believe it to be the same God. They just believe that the way that Christians practice is incorrect because they also believe these other people or these other beings to be godly in a way that they disagree with. But again, Allah is not a separate God. It's the same God. It's the same God. So when people say God is great, they mean literally God is great. Like, it's the same God. It's not like Hinduism where there's different gods or there's a different god or goddess that you might look up to. No, it's the same one. So just in case, because maybe some people don't know that.
A fear I can understand if you are going to present any other scenario in which you might feel fear. Like, you know, people can feel fear in a synagogue because they're afraid of, you know, something happening. You are in someone else's cab and just listening to something they're playing. It's like saying, I was walking, I was walking through the hood and I heard some rap music and I felt fear. And it's like, okay, well, that's embarrassing for you. I don't know what to tell you.
I heard urban music.
It reminds me of like, there's a lot of ways that fear of your own safety can be distorted to the point where you use it to hurt other people. And it almost reminds me, it reminds me of like Emmett Till, like a white woman feared for her safety because a black child was walking past her. And it's like, that's not actual fear, but the fact that you perceived it as such and then took up the mantle of that to hurt someone else is horrible. And it's racist. And so is this.
There's no self-reflection in it, too. It's like she's not doing it because she wants to process the emotions of fear. Like, why did I feel fear in this moment? The alleged shooter of the Israeli diplomats was not an Arab Muslim. So why would I feel this fear? Instead of trying to process it, it's a call to arms and a call to fear for everyone else. You should be afraid. It's fear mongering, and that's all it is.
So who is this woman? Well, I would love to give you some background, even though, Matt, I know you know who she is because we have talked about her and her shenanigans. But for the average listener who is not spending their days focused on these wild Zionist mouthpieces on Instagram, let me explain. Lizzie Savetsky is a 39-year-old Jewish American influencer and self-identified Zionist activist, originally from Texas, now living in New York. She has over 400,000 followers on Instagram, where she posts videos of her speaking direct to camera in her multi-million-dollar Upper East Side apartment, talking about how scary it is to be a Jew right now. She constantly thanks President Trump for standing up for Jewish safety. She does photo shoots of her designer dresses made of Israeli.
Okay, can we agree this is not serving anything?
DNMO.
This is giving nothing. It looks like an art project I made in like 4th grade. It's actually not serving at all. Why does it look so bad? It looks like it looks like it's gonna fall apart. That's anti-Semitic, dude. That's fucking anti-Semitic. Making the flag of Israel it's the flag of Israel because it's in blue, but the Jewish star, the Star of David, making it look that tacky, that's anti-Semitic, dude. Jesus.
Flags, lots of image carousels of her frequent luxury resort vacations to Israel, tons and tons and tons and tons of content of her kids, oftentimes portraying them in fear of the Palestinian cause. Like one video where she brought her young, like 10-ish year old daughter to a pro-Palestinian protest in New York and then filmed her daughter crying because she was obviously startled by like the noise of a protest.
It's just like stuff like that's pathological. It's weird. It's one thing to try to fear monger and try to scare every Jew in the world. It's another thing to do it directly to your daughter and then tape it and then send it out to everybody else.
A lot of her content combines the worst aspects of like mommy blogging with the worst aspects of Israeli Instagram propaganda in a way that's just like, this is actually the worst video.
That is a really good way to put it, actually.
You've ever seen.
in a period of my life where I've seen some of the most horrifying videos that I couldn't even imagine seeing, 2 years ago. It's weird how traumatizing her mommy blog videos are regarding this subject matter, because they do seem to be just abusing her own child for the sake of support for Israel, which is, there's many ways to show your love for the nation. That's one of the weirdest.
Let me give you a little bit of Lizzie Savetsky background because the lore is thick here. So in 2009, a then 24, year old Lizzie Blum married Ira Savetsky. The two became a powerhouse Israel-loving couple. Ira became a well-to-do plastic surgeon in New York, while Lizzie grew an online presence as a fashion blogger. In 2022, Lizzie was cast on The Real Housewives of New York, Roni, if you will. But before the show ever aired, withdrew from the cast over what she called a torrent of anti-Semitism as a result of her casting. She posted a big long statement that was like, the anti-Semitism was horrible and I had to withdraw from the cast. Now, the other story here, the other side of this Roni casting drama, which has basically since been admitted to on all sides of this situation, but Lizzie had been doing at the time like a matchmaking series on Instagram where she paired people up. And when a Roni castmate of hers named Bryn Whitfield, who is biracial, asked Lizzie to set her up with someone, Lizzie told Bryn that she only works with Jews due to her, quote, anxieties about the continuity of her people.
Yeah, 14 words, but make it Israeli. Incredible.
A spat ensued between the women and the show producers, and Lizzie was ultimately terminated from the show after her husband, Ira, used the N-word while describing the argument on set, which left show staff feeling uncomfortable. Couldn't imagine why.
Oh my God. It's such a crazy origin story because it is, directly after all this happened, she, claimed anti-Semitism was the reason, she left the show. And that
Dude, she's kind of giving Ethan Klein, actually. She's kind of giving Ethan Klein a little bit. Wait.
is cover for her having this incredibly racist incident between her and another, cast member or whatever you call it when it's reality TV.
Cast member. Matt is like the third.
Dude, whenever I think about Ethan Klein in context or like in relation to Matt Lieb, especially when he was introduced, where is it? Oh, I don't have it. I should have saved it. My bad. But whenever I think about it, I always think about this fucking timestamp when Ethan Klein decided to go all in on Matt Lieb. And he was watching this video of Matt Lieb speaking at a protest for Palestine.
To be marching with so many Jews.
Yes, the Jews. The Jews are here. Did we mention that? Give the Jews.
This is like top 10 most insane Ethan Klein clips. Like this, like it lives in my brain forever. It's amazing. It's so amazing. It's so good. There's like a zoom in on his face that's like, it's like really good. The reaction to like a totally normal sentence.
Jews. The Jews are here. Did we mention that?
Like, what a crazy response. What a crazy response to a totally normal speech. Oh my God. Anyways, he was on one for sure. He was going crazy in that one. Anywho, peak comedy. Oh my God, dude. Ooh, all right.